Hey, good morning, sports fans of Little Red, and subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to the Baddest Z in the Land channel. If you're just watching this channel for the first time, please subscribe. What we're trying to attempt to do here is not only give you car show footage of all the shows that Little Red competes in and wins most of them, not all, can't win them all. Little Red was not respected at the Rolling Thunder car show last Saturday at the Thunder Roadhouse Cafe in Oklahoma City. Even though there were two Volkswagens and Little Red, that was the only imports, and both Volkswagens got a trophy, and Little Red didn't exist. I didn't see one single person, contestant voting, even come up to the car, even come look at the car. They just walked by it like it was invisible. So I think maybe Little Red was in a different space-time continuum last Saturday, but we'll see what happens this Sunday, Summer Bash, and you'll be seeing some clips for that in the car show playlist. The Summer Bash, hosted by Illegal Toys, one of the most awesome and badass super custom lowrider car clubs, hosting at the brand new Oklahoma City Convention Center. So watch for those clips. But what we're here today to do is to try to attempt, and so we don't know until we get started what's involved, but we have an idea. We're going to be installing this AEM digital temperature gauge. We don't trust the old needle gauge in the Z, which basically has three positions: cold, normal, and hot. And so that's not good enough, and this gauge is going to give us the exact reading of our coolant temp. And so I did a previous intro clip, but now we're actually going to do the install. I said a couple of things on the intro clip that need to be corrected that were idiotic. So we're not going to go out, start the car, warm it up, and then pull one of the two temperature sensors that are located in the front of the engine block to find out which one is the goes to the gauge. We're going to do a lot better than that. And so if you see right in front of you, I'll zoom into the to the URL. But Concept Z Performance, I'm sure almost all of these were written by Nick Lutzen, who's the tech director for CZP and one of my advisors and mentors. He's beyond an expert on turbo Z's. He's probably one of the top. He takes the time out to look these wikis and put on the Concept Z Performance.com wiki page. So if you just go to https://conceptzperformance.com/wiki, you'll see all the different wikis that we have created for you. And it crosses across spectrum, deleting, troubleshooting your fuel system, creating a bypass jumper for your fuel pressure control unit, which is the case of mine. See, Little Red, that went out, and the OEM fuel pump went out within a few days of each other. So we're trying to make guiding us not only via email, but we're using that wiki, and it's excellent. So we actually have this one that we went ahead and printed out before we even went out to the car. And basically what Nick is telling you is which of those two sensors that are on the front of the block, which one goes to the ECU, which we're not going to tamper with, and which one, goes to the gauge, the one that we're going to replace. With this fitting, you see in front of you, this fitting is the new digital AEM gauge temperature sensor. Plugs into this harness in this black phenolic you see right there, and then we're going to route that back to where we're going to mount the gauge, and we're going to show you all that in just a moment. But so I highly recommend that you get this wiki for whatever you're doing. If you're working on doing a mod upgrade or troubleshooting a twin turbo Z, go to Concept Z Performance wiki page first and see if they have a topic on your issue. They're probably going to, and it's going to be very thorough. It's going to save you a lot of time, effort, and sorrow. Also, it's a good idea to go ahead and download and print out the OEM
instruction manual. So this is the AEM Performance Electronics X Series gauge, oil trans, water temp, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 centigrade. Installation instructions. These are just good to have. We don't really need them, but if you are going to do things like run the white and green wires right here, if you're going to run those white and green wires out for data logging, then you would need to see how it's done here. So there's a couple of things. So the people have this installing these in race cars, of course, have a data logging computer. And so that's showing you how to do all that. We don't care about any of that. We care about only one thing. We care about this black wire here, that black wire, and this red wire. So the black wire is ground. The red wire, we're gonna see if we have the capability to add another 12 volt source to our ignition switch in the fuse panel, which already we have jumpered with a really cool jumper slash fuse extender that we found on Amazon. I just couldn't believe we found it. And a lot of people are, soldering, they're using barrel connectors. It's not the right route, and we'll show you that if you didn't see the clips for the install of the GPS Speedo. And then most recently we did a upgrade and added a AEM boost gauge, and we have all those set up in a triple gauge pod, which I'll show you in a second. So this is important, this wiring diagram, and then there's just more information in here about how to calibrate the gauge, how to operate the gauge, how to take it apart. Maybe you want to change the faceplate to a silver. We're going with black. This is our motif of our 3 gauges, aftermarket gauges that are currently in the Z. So we're going to do that. You see out here on the counter, of course, we have our trusty electrical connector, and then our Velcro zip lock. So this is super important. I'm going to show you where we're going to mount it. So we're going to grab the gauge, and then also, of course, always zip ties. Always, we're going to use those when we route this cable. We're going to zip tie everything. We like everything to be nice and tight and nothing's hanging. Everything looks clean and is clean, and we don't want any movement on our cables when we install them. So we're going to take a quick walk out and I'll kind of show you what we're going to do. Okay, if you notice, we've already removed the throttle cable cover, and as you can see, this is actually dirt. We can't, that won't be there when we put the throttle cable cover back on, but so the throttle cable cover goes right there. What we really wanted to see and show you is this is the one that we're gonna replace. So this one that my index finger is touching now, that is the temperature sensor for the coolant slash water that goes to the engine control unit, and it uses that temperature of the coolant to do a lot of things, to manage a lot of functions in the engine. So almost everything in the engine depends on the coolant temperature. But this one that I have my hand on now, that one goes to, which is a single wire, it goes to the gauge and the gauge cluster. We're going to be removing this. We're going to pull that out and install the new one, and so the old needle gauge will not be working. We don't care, we don't want it, we didn't like it to start with. And then as far as routing goes, haven't really looked at that. We're gonna have to though, but I think I might route back. So this is tucked in behind the timing cover. Not really sure, I can't see exactly where it comes out, but of course it's going to be being routed back here to the back of the motor somewhere, connecting to the wiring harness. What I think we'll do, and of course we're using this hole right down here, our favorite hole. You see it down there with 3 different cables running through it. Well, guess what? There's going to be a 4th one. What I think we're probably going to do is we're going to route this directly. We may take off this throttle spring cover and just route it right, kind of basically use the same path. What we'll do is we'll come back up along the side of this water pipe, back down and get right on that cluster. So that, as you can see, this is the AEM boost gauge vacuum hose here. Comes around, that's the transducer that converts vacuum pressure to the digital, it's actually to a voltage, and that voltage is read by the meter, displayed as a digital boost reading. We're gonna wanna get on that. So not 1,000% sure. Probably need the light over here just real quick. Where the current temperature gauge wire is being routed. I'm not really sure what that cable that's going around a couple of times there. I don't like that, but every time we do something to Z, we see something or we correct something, and there's a lot of wiring harness connectors we're not using because we've deleted a lot of things in this engine build, like EGR and things like that. So there are quite a few connectors that are just hanging out. But we're gonna do a little more disassembly here. Probably just remove this throttle cable, throttle spring. So it's actually an ugly spring, and that Z-Spec cover, that beautiful polished aluminum cover is covering up a really nasty, ugly old spring. We're probably going to remove that, but it's probably a really good idea to kind of follow a similar route that's being used now, and I can't really see it. We're definitely not taking this valve cover off. That would involve removing this intercooler pipe. It's a lot of work. We're not doing it. We're going to be smarter than that. What I would like to do, if I